Hello, my name is Madeline Redlick, and this is my submission for our Black Mirror mini lecture assignment. This is my first long form video breakdown assignment I've ever done, and for this assignment specifically, I chose to focus on the Black Mirror episode, Season 1, Episode 3, titled The Entire History of You. I've definitely heard about this show before, but I've never watched any episodes. I know that my dad is a big fan of the show, so I asked him to help me find a good episode to tie to our classroom topics, which is what led me to choosing this one. He gave me a variety of options that I think would be helpful, but based on reading the description of this episode, it sounded the most interesting to me, so that's why I chose it. More specifically, for this assignment, I will be tying this episode to Michael Foucault's theory of biopower. I will start with the background of the episode and then connect it to Foucault's ideologies. Alright, so this episode takes place in the near future, focusing on a couple and their close friends and family. A new technology has recently been introduced and implemented into their society called a grain. This device is essentially a small pellet which is placed behind one ear to allow them to track every single interaction they have. They are able to go back and watch and listen to their old conversations and events, allowing them to overanalyze everything. They can speed scenarios up, they can slow them down, they can zoom in on anything, maybe on people's faces to pick up on their facial expressions or tones. They can really break down anything they like and show to anyone they like. There's a lot of options. It even becomes the social standard to have a grain, and people are even shocked to find out if one of their peers is grainless. People simply cannot imagine going back to old living the way it was before grains. This technology may seem convenient at first, such as in scenes where it shows to be helpful in an airport security lane or tracing back a crime. However, from the viewpoint of the man in the relationship we follow, Liam, which is pictured in the bottom left of the screen with his wife Fifi, the grain quickly seems to be harmful. Liam picks up on signals from his wife, Fifi, that she is being unfaithful. They begin to have arguments and use the grain excessively to trace back skeptical moments that Liam will not let go. They will also replay small moments in arguments where one may say something without thinking to maybe rub it in the other person's face or just make the scenario worse in general. By the end of the episode, he uncovers that his wife has been cheating and his marriage and life overall is destroyed. He pains himself by constantly rewatching and reliving old memories until he cannot stand it anymore and removes the grain himself from behind his ear. The story we follow throughout the episode picks up on ideas not only of disloyalty, but also jealousy, distress, and the norms all shaped by technology. Michael Foucault discusses that biopower is a form of power that focuses on controlling and managing life itself by guiding behavior and shaping norms. It encourages people to regulate their actions and behavior due to the influence of technology. Foucault says that surveillance is crucial to biopower. People change how they act if they know or even just suspect that they are being watched. In this Black Mirror episode, the grain implants allow for everyone to be observed at any time by others who have the device. This completely diminishes privacy, even in intimate moments. Moments with anyone that you would not want to be shared or replayed can be very easily with this technology. Another topic that biopower discusses is normalization. It functions by defining what fits in and outside of the norm. The technology that this episode focuses on makes complete transparency and proof of loyalty the expected standard for society. Anything less than that can seem suspicious or outside of the norm. Another principle worth noting is self-regulation. Biopower pushes people to monitor their behavior more heavily. In this setting, people rely on their memory implant to work on regulating themselves rather than outside direction from other people. Liam becomes so obsessed with observing his wife's and his own behavior that it consumes him and his relationship entirely. So, this episode relates to the ideas of self-regulation and disciplining behavior, starting with the opening scene. Liam, the main character, is pictured in an interview or a conference-like setting. And although this interaction he has may seem ordinary to the human eye, he instantly grows skeptical about his performance as he is able to watch it back as many times as he'd like using the grain technology, thinking about what he could have done differently. He overanalyzes the other people in the room by their facial expressions and their tones and by how they're writing stuff down. Just absolutely overthinking all of it because he has the power to do so. He even gets a second opinion from his wife because of this overthinking. However, when he's pressured to share this event with others at a household gathering setting, he decides not to, which fills the room with awkwardness and a little bit of skepticism. I believe this relates to the new standard that the device has brought upon their society, mentioned earlier, which is full transparency among your peers. The potential convenience of the grain discussed earlier brings in ideas of biopolitics because the device is used by institution. At the airport, as pictured, Liam is asked by the security worker to present the last 24 hours of his daily living activities before he can board his flight. These memory checks are ordered in scenarios like these, raising concern for those who are grainless or do not have the implant, in other words. Near the end of the episode, a girl who does not have the grain is trying to contact the police because Liam is attacking the person that his wife is having an affair with. And the police do not take her seriously because she does not have a grain, therefore, they cannot track her memory of this event, which is the new standard. Relating back to the idea of normalization, the grain technology has created a new standard or norm for trust as well. As Liam grows suspicious that his wife is having an affair, he insists on doing a memory check on her. When she hesitates, he instantly assumes that she has something to hide. This scenario, as well as the one where Liam's peers grow skeptical when he doesn't want to share his conference with them in a group setting, relates to the idea that technology produces our norms for honesty and trust. I think to apply this ideology to our present day living could be shown with the example that if someone is worried that their partner is being unfaithful or lying to them about something, they would insist on checking their phone, whether it's their messages, their history. I think that's a good example to compare to this episode. This Black Mirror episode displays ideas of technology guiding our actions and behaviors, whether we are aware of it or not. It reshapes our daily lives to a point that it can change our entire identity and relationships. Although the grain device in this episode is not real, it shows us how influencing and fast paced technology can be. Although very different from a recording device, the grain closely reminds me of generative artificial intelligence. I think that AI has grown so much in these last couple of years, and people are becoming more and more dependent on it in their daily living. I hope that people are able to stay aware of their usage and dependency on AI, considering how much it is capable of. I'm specifically thinking of my generation and younger generations because we are just around it more in school. Every time I open a new app, it shows me their AI feature, and I think it's really important to be careful and conscious of it. Much like the grain technology, it can be very convenient at some times, but intruding and harmful at others. Sorry. Lastly, I wanted to note that I would definitely recommend this episode if you haven't seen it already. I'm definitely planning on watching season 3, episode 1, titled Nosedive, because it seems very interesting based off of the discussion posts I have read about it in this last week. But overall, this show seems very interesting to me, and I feel like I remember it being brought up in a past lecture I've had with this same teacher because of how well it applies to sociology and technology, and it was a sociology class. But yeah, I think it's a great thing and I should check it out more. Lastly, I just wanted to throw in my personal opinions about the grain technology implemented in this episode. I do see how it could be convenient at times, but I think more than that, it's just intruding. With the airport security, I understand why they would want to see your past 24 hours of daily living, but I think that's crossing the line of privacy. I also think that it would allow for people to just monitor their behavior more heavily and make sure if they were going to do anything that would interfere with this 24-hour policy that they would find a way around it. Um, I think that it's also just not a good idea for mental health purposes. It starts to slowly drive Liam, the main character, insane, and I know it would drive me insane over every little interaction I'd have. I already tend to overthink about everything, and the fact that we can go back and look at our messages and when people respond and how they respond is already a big step in technology, and I don't think we need grains behind our ears to be able to overanalyze things. I think it takes away from being present in the moment too, and other things that are important in our daily living and society.